Geocachomaniacs.
Geo Gearheads.
Hey, welcome to Geo Gearheads. This is a weekly show about geocaching and geolocation games. I'm Chris of the Northwest, along with our host, Daryl W4. Daryl, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty well. It hasn't been a week of Mondays this week.
Ooh.
But I still don't know what day is what.
Is it a week of Sundays?
No.
Or has it been a month of Sundays?
Monday felt more like it was a Wednesday. Tuesday, I figured it was Friday already. And then
you're not looking at your calendar right. The orientation's wrong. There's something going on here.
Yeah, well, and one of the guys at work actually sent me the calendar for like May of 2017, which was all Mondays all month. So, it's got to be one of those misprints that just somehow managed to make it onto my system. I'm thinking someone hacked the localization file for Google Calendar on my machine.
Did you drop your calendar?
No, but I did.
And it spilled?
Oh man, I dropped my 13-inch MacBook Pro, which is my work machine, off the laptop stand, trying to open it, and actually put a hole in my desk. There's nothing wrong with the
case. It's strong, huh?
Yeah, well, it hit just right that it took a little hole out of the surface. And so now it's like right there and it's constantly bugging me. So as if I don't have enough to obsess about. Well, and they're white desks too.
Oh.
Well, I'm thinking I gotta
totally
grab a white paint pen.
What do you use to repair the walls? I can't think of the word. Spackle. There you go. I could think Bondo, and I knew that wasn't right.
Yeah.
So, Daryl, tonight we're asking the question: why?
Yeah. Why are we asking a question?
Why?
Why?
Why cache types? When I saw this, I was like, well, we're talking about cache type. Well, no, actually, this is a brilliant topic to talk about. This week, we're asking why people hide traditional and mystery caches, but not so many of the others. I was just in Seattle today. My daughter had a doctor's appointment up there, and I look around and everything around me is a mystery cache except one traditional. So I went and grabbed the traditional, and okay, that was fun. It was at the University of Washington Stadium, and what a great time, because there's no sports going on. And it was a quick and easy grab, but I looked around, everything is a traditional. Or, I'm sorry, everything is a mystery.
A mystery, yeah. Yeah. Because they do the mysteries because they can't put traditionals there.
Right.
So and we'll get into it a little bit more. But we actually brought in one of our favorite guests to help us talk about this one today on a boat. Welcome back to the show.
Hello,
and thank you for bringing up this subject, because this is one of the subjects that we were talking about and that you've had coming up quite a bit in your area.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the map recently, right, and pretty much everything. I mean, new cache notifications, the map around me, almost everything is traditionals or puzzles, right, and like not even just like field puzzles and stuff like that. It's just like solve at home, what am I thinking kind of puzzles, right? So I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting concept. Like, why are those everybody's go-tos? So I don't know. I figured you guys have been around a while. Let's talk about it.
I figure it's a way to annoy me.
Yeah.
Because that way I can clear out all those traditionals and I have those puzzles that I haven't been able to solve staring me at the face.
Yeah.
Daryl, you're going to let it slide that he just called us old.
He's not wrong.
No, I mean, I've been around a while too. I mean, I didn't mean it like that. It's all right. We'll all be old together. It's all good.
And get off my lawn, kids.
Starting to feel that way.
The problem is we can actually go, we're actually old enough to remember when you could hide a virtual cache
Or a locationless
or a locationless.
or a webcam. Yeah.
Well, those you couldn't hide because the webcams never worked anyway.
That's true.
That was actually a conversation I had with a friend of mine the other day, and I said, "Man, they were way too early on that. Imagine if we could hide webcams now;
Yeah.
like everybody would be hiding them.
Well,
Like
but
with the
webcam
technology
isn't
we have.
nearly the thing now that
It's
it
not-
was back then. There
Yeah,
was that period in the early days of caching where everyone wanted to throw up the webcam and people were jumping up on all of these sites. Look, I can watch a video in real time of, whatever square.
yeah,
And it was a big thing. So they were going up. And then people realized, it's not free. It does cost some money. And
Mhm.
you actually have to have decent equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just going to shut it down.
yeah,
Yeah, and if it goes down, there's nothing you can do to fix it because it's not your equipment.
right.
Right. So you're relying on the university or the business to keep that running. And if they don't see a need to publish it to the
Yeah.
web anymore, you're out.
Yeah,
What I do
So-
think interesting on the webcam kind of front is all of the like zoos and such that have taken those video cameras that have been there, surveillance, whatever, and suddenly opened them up for viewing by everyone.
yeah,
And
So you can see the baby eagles being born, and
well, it's not just even that. It's watch the pandas or whatever just sitting there eating bamboo throughout the day because you can't go in person. And a lot of people who maybe could physically go can't go for whatever other reason. So I don't remember which one it was, but I actually caught an interview with someone, and they were saying that the webcams are actually keeping the food on the table essentially for the animals because it's bringing in the donations. It's keeping it at front of mind.
Well, Wet Coasters brought up a good point. If you really want webcams, virtuals, and locationless, check out opencaching.us or opencaching.na. Yeah.
If you're in the US and North America.
That's
yeah.
Doesn't
or
seem
I like-
good when you-
whatever country you're in.
right.
I love that idea. The problem is I am way too deep in geocaching.com, and to start over, or not even start over, but to branch out, that's I got enough going on with one website. I can't keep track of the others. So
Well, and my problem is every time I've gone to check out what's on open caching, there's nothing happening.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I still have it, but I used to have a virtual cache. I believe it was on the Open Caching US, and it got hit once.
sounds about right.
Yeah, it just
That's
people
I've heard similar
won't
stories.
do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So as much as I'd like to see that, it's just too much, I think, for people to have two different listing services.
Yeah, I agree. But
Well, people are only hiding one or two types of caches on
Oh, yeah.
geocaching.com anyway. So what
Yeah.
is it matter?
yeah,
Well,
why would they go somewhere else? They got what they need.
Everyone's going to hide traditionals because that's what you expect. It's the easy, when you go out thinking of a geocache, that's what it is. Go to the
Yeah.
chords, find the container, sign the log, go away.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
guys, we just want them to go away. Oh, sorry. We're not talking about that anymore. Move on.
Get off my lawn.
well, I mean, the other part of it too, and like I've had the same conversation with friends of mine and stuff like that, and I've had people come to me because I've tried to do my best this past year to create a lot of non-puzzle, non-traditional caches. Multi caches have been my go-to lately, and people are like, "Oh my god, I need more multis to get this challenge or something," right? And so the multis have been popular because they're few and far between. It feels like, right?
Mhm.
Letterboxes have been popular, but I don't know. I've heard that people just have this like misconception rather of all these roadblocks that exist with, hiding a multi or hiding a letterbox or even a Wherigo. I know you guys did a whole bunch on Wherigos last week, so maybe we'll see some Wherigos pop up, hopefully, right? I think
Hopefully,
that's all,
around
it's
here
always the
we
goal.
actually do have a fair number of where I goes.
Mhm.
We had
Yeah.
a few people who got into building the where I goes, so we got a fair number of them around this area. But
Yeah.
the one that seems to be the toughest to find is probably actually the letterbox, because that does take a lot of work to put something out that's actually good. And
It's actually good. Yeah. See, that's the things.
Right.
Everybody. I mean, my thing is like, yeah, quality's fantastic, right? But if you're gonna hide just a regular traditional anyway, why not just put a stamp in it and differentiate it as a letterbox or something? Like, I mean, it's not.
But to be a
Doesn't have to be.
letterbox, you should have some kind of story to help get you there, because that is the point.
That's what people think.
Well, for the
How?
letterbox hybrid, you have to have the coordinates, and it doesn't say anywhere that it has to be the story to get you there. It does say that you have to put the coordinates for the final somewhere in the description. So it could be in the hint, I think, or in the list.
You're right. It
So I
can
think
be.
you can put it
It
in
could be the actual coordinates if you want.
right.
But
Well,
yeah, I mean, go ahead.
according, I'm only bringing up the geocaching.com guidelines. A letterbox hybrid container must contain a rubber stamp and a logbook.
Simple.
So,
See, they
so
used
if you
to
put a
require
rubber
that
stamp
it
in
have
there,
the
does it
coordinates.
become a letterbox hybrid?
Put a stamp in anything, it becomes a letterbox hybrid.
according to that, yeah.
Yeah. So the way they wrote up that page, it's actually kind of funny. And I put a link in the show notes for anybody that's curious, or you can just Google letterbox guidelines or whatever. But they have a cute little chart on there that just says like traditional plus stamp equals letterbox, or multi plus stamp equals letterbox. But where I go plus stamp equals where I go. And it's so it's
Could you have
where I go is always a where I go.
a letterbox where I go hybrid?
Nah, it's still a where I go. It's always a where I go. So
That's true, isn't it? Anytime you put something with where I go, or I'm sorry, with letterbox hybrid, the letterbox is lost. If it's a mystery letterbox, nope, it's a mystery. Right?
if you put a stamp in a mystery cache, it's a letterbox. You can
Oh,
so whatever
I see the graphic here now.
yeah, so whatever physical cache you want it to be, that's it. It's just you put a stamp in, it's a letterbox. That's it. So I mean, I feel like the biggest thing is hey, there you go. Add a stamp to your cache, make it a letterbox.
Mhm.
Did it answer your question? Yes, it answered my question. Thank you, HQ.
You want me to click yes? Okay.
No, it's okay. I clicked yes earlier.
But that's right. A traditional plus a stamp is a letterbox. A multi plus a stamp is a letterbox. A mystery plus a stamp is a letterbox. A where I go plus a stamp is a where I go.
That is true. And
There
I
you
think they mentioned up there at the top, like bonus caches, challenge caches. Those obviously can't be letterbox hybrids because those have underlying guidelines saying they have to be a question mark type, unknown or mystery cache. But yeah, I mean, like Daryl said, like I think that's what a lot of people focus on, right? They focus on, I gotta really tell a cool story, or like they think of traditional letterboxing, right? And that's what we all think of when we think letterbox hybrid. And a lot of people are focused on that. And I mean, sometimes like I just hid this entire park trail by me with like 75 caches. And towards the end of it, after I hid 50 of them, I said, you know what? Why am I hiding so many traditionals? I could just put a stamp in here and give people something to do. And the letterbox part's actually been a hit. The traditionals have kind of just been like, they'll get them if they're there, but
Interesting.
yeah.
But people are going to seek out the letterboxes.
Yeah, everybody loves the letterboxes. They're like, oh my God, there's like 25 letterboxes right there. That's so cool. So
obviously you're not using nano containers.
no, they're all actually they're the exact same containers as traditionals. Like that was my point, right? So it's just a cache with a stamp in it. So And I know some of the traditionalist people are like, what is wrong with you? Why would you ever do that? But
So if you take a nano and super glue a stamp on top of it, it becomes a letterbox.
allegedly,
I'm not sure that works.
so
I mean, you get a tiny little stamp and you glue it on top of the nano, right? And you can leave the magnet on the bottom.
yeah,
It has to have a rubber stamp. It doesn't say it has to have a ink pad.
Well, it just has to have a stamp. It doesn't have to
Right.
be a rubber stamp.
Right.
But didn't someone have
it does use the word rubber stamp
Oh, does it?
in the description? Yes.
Daryl, I think I know where you were going with that.
The 3D printed container?
Oh no, I was thinking something different. Go ahead, tell that.
No, because I thought I had seen someone who had created a 3D printed cash container that the one end was a stamp.
That would be incredible. That would.
So
That would
you
actually
had to
be really
bring
cool.
your own pad,
Right.
Yeah,
but it
ink
was
pad.
a stamp. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I thought you were going to talk about. I've actually seen letterboxes where the reviewer has asked the hider, "Is there a stamp in this cache?" And the person says, "Yes, there's a stamp in this cache." Then you go to the cache, and there's literally a postcard with a postage stamp on it in the cache. So don't do that. Don't be that guy.
No, definitely not.
The Pizza Ninja wants to know: did you carve the stamps on your own?
Me, if that was directed towards me, no. I actually bought on. This is how terrible of a geocacher I am. I went on Amazon and bought just like children's school play stamps that are about this big. And I actually bought them originally for a project. These stamps literally fit inside film cans.
Okay.
And at one point, I was involved in hiding letterbox hybrids in lamp skirts in film cans. So that's where I got them from. But yeah, they're actually nice. They're self inking little mini stamps or whatever with little like a dog or a cat or a paw print or whatever. And they, like I said, they fit perfectly inside of a film can. So I put them in a film can and then put the film can inside, like separate from the log sheet inside the lock and lock that I have out on the trail. Just in case it gets wet. Cause I've had instances before where the stamps get wet and they leak everywhere. So I try to keep it just a little bit separate. So, but
now, let's see. Just finding our way says I'll walk by traditionals to do anything else, especially letterboxes with a story.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I don't want to tell people like, hey, don't hide something with like the story or the getting to it fun stuff, right? Like those are fantastic, but I don't want people to think that like you have to do that to hide these, when maybe we could get some other cache types out there just by, broadening your horizons a little bit, and maybe taking something you thought was going to be a traditional, just like every other 95% of the caches in the world, and turn it into something else, right? And a letterbox is just one option, right? We'll talk about some others, but
Well, and if you want to create your own cache or a stamp, you don't have to make it yourself. There are a bunch of services that will take your artwork and create the stamp for you.
absolutely.
And that's great for doing your own stamp, for doing your letterboxing, because you want to have your stamp to actually stamp on there. But you could do it on a theme for a series of caches or whatnot. Put the GC code on there, maybe, all kinds of cool stuff. But with all of these, the problem is the inexperienced cachers who like to take the stamps out of the cache.
Yeah.
And then it's no longer a letterbox, even though you have the letterbox designation.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole different topic, obviously, because I think that goes into cache owners maintaining their caches properly, right? We talk about that 90% of the shows that we talk on, we're talking about cache maintenance somehow, right? Cache owners got to be good about maintaining their caches, but cachers that find those also have to tell people, right? they got to just let them know, like, hey, stamp's missing.
Mhm.
Put a needs maintenance on it. Write a note. Send them a message. Like I don't know. My caches might be missing a stamp, and if nobody's told me, I'm not going to go check it every 5 days and make sure there's still a stamp in there, right?
Right.
So, yeah, let's just, community's got to work together to make sure that we keep everybody abreast of the situation, I guess, right?
Yeah, GSM times 2 says there's a hidden advantage of letterboxes when setting a GeoArt. There's no distance restriction for a letterbox like there is for a mystery cache.
I'd like to check a reviewer on that one. I usually don't question GSM times 2.
Well, I'm keeping my mouth
I think
shut.
that's for, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's for the start.
Okay.
Kind of like a mystery cache, you can have the start somewhere, but the final has to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with a regular mystery cache, the posted coordinates on the cache page have to be within 2 miles of the final coordinates that you provide.
Oh, maybe that's what he's talking about, actually.
That's what he's talking about. Yeah. So, I don't know enough to comment about that, because I don't do GeoArts. I don't hide them, rather. Everybody does them. I mean, it's GeoArt. But yeah, I don't know enough about that to comment. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know. I trust Scott on a lot of things. He's a good guy. Yeah, mystery cache. Yep. Go ahead.
Interesting. Just Finding Your Way says multis don't have the 2 mile limit either. I thought they did.
That is 100% correct. That I can tell you for a fact. They don't have a 2 mile limit. And we can talk about that in a second. Because I'll tell you all. But talk about multis all day.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, and I think the reason that multis don't get hit and people don't do the multis is that same bad reputation that they've had for you go 3-4 stages in and all of a sudden you're stuck because you can't find that next one.
Yes.
Well,
and go ahead.
I was going to say, let's talk about multis, and I have to say Adventure Labs have ruined my taste for multis because I'm doing all this work. I'm getting 1 smiley. I do an Adventure Lab, I get 5.
Yeah, I could feel that. Like
Now, that being said, there's not a lot of multis around me, and I have, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I have the impression that multis take time. I'm going to set aside an hour to do this multi. Sometimes I'm just doing quick pickups. Hey, like we got to Seattle, 40 minutes early. Let's go get a cache. I'm not going to hit a multi to do that.
You would love living near me then, because I have solved all your problems, Chris.
Okay.
I mean, there's other people who've done what I've done, so I don't want to take credit for all of it. But, yeah, those are the two things. The two things you guys mentioned are two of the biggest reasons that I hear from people why they don't hide a lot of multis. One is Daryl, like you said, right? Like a stage goes missing, right? So you put out a 4-stage multi and it's so incredible, it's so cool, and stage 2 goes missing, and now you got to go out there to do maintenance on it, and who knows if the other stages are still there. Now you're walking 6 miles to check all your stages, and you know what I mean? So those are tedious. And the other thing is too, people don't do them a lot. So why put in all that effort to get a find a month?
Well, you have this vicious cycle. People don't hide them because people don't find them.
Yep.
So you don't find them because you can't find, because people aren't hiding them. It's just
it's catch-22.
Yeah, and it's a spiral that keeps diminishing the number of multis until someone gets out there, puts out a series of good multis, and then you start seeing them come back for a while.
What's your definition of good?
Good as in ones that are easy to find.
Yeah.
Or not easy to find, but you can find without running into problems.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Well, and
Sure.
and it's also a big thing. GSM Times 2 is saying one of the keys to good multis is to let people know what to expect up front. It is
Yes.
crucial that you do that. And that's, I think, again, it's also one of the reasons that people aren't doing it is because, traditional, you pretty much just drive up. You don't have to read the description.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are kind of lazy. They don't want to read anything. So if they have to read the description of a multi, they might not do it.
Well, the interesting thing is, can you highlight the next thing he says? Yeah, he's jumping ahead here. Okay, Scott, slow your roll. But this is actually a really good point. But this makes people read your page, which I've actually found pretty interesting, Daryl. To your point, people like that quick stuff where they just go to stage and then walk to next stage and walk to next stage, and they a lot of times don't like reading. But almost anytime you do a virtual stage, it's almost always there's some kind of reading involved. You got to figure out how do I interpret what I'm looking at, and how do I turn that into coordinates, whether it's a checker or solve for X mathematical equation thing like Pythagoras or whatever. Yeah, I'm not a fan of those either. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, and the virtual stages are go right along with this. The biggest thing is you want to, if you want people to come find your cache, you want to entice them to come find it by making it doable, right? You don't want them to think that there's a reason that something's missing, or there's something wrong with it, or it's going to take an incredible amount of work, right? I learned that early on. Like, I think the first multi I hid was 3 physical stages, all within like a 1/10 of a mile of each other, on like different sides of the road and stuff, like on a little dead end street. And like one stage went missing, and like people were out there ticked off because they couldn't find the final because the one thing was missing, and then it wasn't missing. It just actually just got knocked off the thing. It was a magnet, and that was a whole big headache. So I was like, okay, never doing that again. So then I had another one, right? The next one I hide is, do some math in a cemetery thing with some headstones and stuff like that. And that was popular. I got a decent number of favorite points for that, and people found it. But the biggest complaint that I got was like, holy crap, it's a lot of math. You know what I mean? So the last thing, well, not quite the last thing. I ended up doing a lot more with Certitude, or Certitudes with an S.org. And that's actually like a geocaching API enabled checker for coordinates, right? And the cool thing with Certitudes is they'll actually allow you to do keyword checkers, which I'm sure you guys have seen on some caches before. So I've been using that a lot more with what Scott said, using virtual stages. So in a cemetery, for example, instead of me going to a cemetery and just putting a traditional in the back corner of the cemetery, now what I'm doing is when I go into a cemetery, I think cemeteries are incredibly cool, right? So, and I want people to enjoy the cemetery for what it is. It's a really cool place with a lot of history in it, right? So I take them to the coolest stones I can find, the oldest ones that are there, that are like, go look at this Revolutionary War soldier from 250 years ago, And so I take them to that, and then I say, what year did John Smith die, or something like that? And okay, use that for year, and then you're gonna walk 20 feet over here, and you're gonna look at Jane Doe's headstone, and what was her middle name, or something like that. And you got to be careful, because a lot of that stuff you can find on like Find a Grave and stuff like that. So you gotta switch it up a little bit. But ultimately, like I'm using things that aren't going to go anywhere, and I hope these headstones aren't going to go anywhere, right? But
Pretty good chance.
Yeah, pretty good chance. Yeah, and if you do that, then you do. You have things that people they're not going to go missing. People aren't going to go there and not be able to find it, right? As long as your coordinates are good and you give them what they're looking for, like Scott was saying, they're going to go to it. They're going to see the headstone. They're going to get the information. And I make my keywords in Certitude. I make them, year, name, year. And I say specifically how to put it in on the page in big, bold letters. Say, enter year, name, year. You put it in, you get the coordinates, off you go. And I put a really nice explicit hint in my checker on where the cache is too. So, but yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. Like you can, the other part too, people are, a lot of people have trouble finding one good place. And they always think with a multi, you have to have more than one good place for just one cache. Or if I hide a multi, now I'm taking up more space on the map where I can't hide other caches. You know what I mean? And both those things, if you use those virtual waypoints, that saves you both those trouble spots. So I don't know. I think multis are fantastic. I wish more people would hide multis. That's my hope and prayer to everybody watching is think about hiding multis. So I don't know. Yeah.
Multis are, one of those ones that we have to try to recuperate, rehabilitate the image. And it is going to take some maintenance to make sure that things are working right and responsible cache owners.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll start seeing more of those out there again. And they are a lot of fun. If it's a good one, it's going to be enjoyable. And there are some of those that are, hey, go here, turn around, and there's your cache. Those are a little bit silly, but at least they're nice and easy.
Speaking of easy, I want to bring up one thing real quick, and you guys are going to think that I'm an absolute clown, which is fine. But it's kind of I actually got a little bit of this idea from GSM times 2. So shout out to him. Cause I've watched a lot of podcasts that he's been a part of and in the chat room on. And, I just constantly hear him talking about this refresh the game board and do better with the game board thing. Right. So, last year I kind of started thinking more about that and thought about like, okay, I've got all these LPCs, lamppost caches just floating around at this store and that store and all this other garbage, right? Like, yay, another film can. So how could I make that even just a little bit better, a little bit more exciting, or something better than just another traditional lamp skirt, right? So I actually started making multi-cache LPC park and grabs for people. And it's literally the exact same style of cache. It's just a film can and a lamp skirt, but it adds one quick stage in that same parking lot in 90% of the cases, where you pull up in the parking lot and it says, what's the third word on the sign that at the posted coordinates, and it's handicapped, and you put handicapped in the Certitude checker and it takes you to the lamppost on the other side of the parking lot. So, at this point, I created this thing called the Orange Box Park and Grab series. Little orange multi-cache box, right? That was the idea. And it literally tells people on the cache page, hey, this is nothing more than a park and grab with a little twist to it, just to brighten your day up and give you some more orange boxes on your stats. And I mean, those have been a hit too, because people don't always want to find traditionals, right? Like if they're going to go out on a numbers run, like they want to find a lot of caches, so they don't always have time for the other cache types. But sometimes it's fun to like, man, if I could go out and find 50 of these, like that'd be cool. That's a lot better than finding 50 traditionals, I'd say, but just something different. You know what I mean? So, like I said, shout out to Scott for talking about the refresh the game board idea. And, maybe other people think about it. Like I know that that's still pretty crappy cache, right? But think about it. I mean, maybe to your area that's just a little bit more fun than a traditional lamp skirt. Yeah, I love those are ridiculous, by the way.
GSM Types 2 says contact lens holders, the world's easiest multi-cache.
Yeah, we had a lot of those around here at one point. So
I don't think I've ever seen one of those.
really,
Yeah.
oh my god, yeah. People do that. They would just put a contact lens case in the lamp skirt, and it's like they number them 1 and 2, and you open one and it says that side.
And that constitutes a multi-cache right there.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
Yeah.
pretty lame.
Yeah, fun, but
It's-
lame.
it's
Wow, Daryl, how dare you judge?
That's like a bad dad joke in caching.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Oh,
I haven't
Gary
hidden one of these yet.
So
made a good point too. I don't know if you guys want to grab that one. The multi-find calendar. Yeah, there's a bunch of people that are trying to do stuff like that around here too. And that was actually another one of my goals. Like aside from just, making things a little bit better or just trying to up it just a little bit, right? I was trying to get people more things to do more with in terms of their stats and stuff like that. There are a lot of people that are trying to do like those non-traditional find calendars and multis or like a mystery for every day of the year, stuff like that. So it's just good to have more stuff, right? You can't do that if it's all traditionals. So
And then GSM Times 2 says, thanks for the shout out and for setting things that are a little bit better.
little bit. I didn't say they were much better, just little by little.
And he also says 2 film canisters taped together if you don't have a contact lens holder.
No, you're cut
I was
off.
thinking an old pair of binoculars.
find. Ooh, there you go. But I can't find film canisters anymore.
Amazon,
actually
man.
buy 'em.
Amazon.
Yeah, but you have to actually buy them.
Yeah.
They're like $6 for like 90 of them.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I'll send you the link after the show. Maybe I'll
All
put
right.
it in the show notes so everybody can buy
Costco-
film cans.
Costco's shutting down all their film centers in their stores. So I thought, next time I go, I'm going to ask, do you have any film canisters left?
Can't imagine.
Because I'm sure they're happy to get rid of all of them.
They probably don't have many.
They probably don't.
I haven't been able to.
doing
Like,
prints anymore, and they're not doing.
I was just out with a buddy of mine the other day, and we were talking about that, like how we used to be able to go into Rite Aid or Walgreens or CVS or wherever and say like, "Hey, you got any empty film cans?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, here's a bucket of them." Now it's like you go in there like, "A what?"
How do you do?
What's a film?
Oh, you might have to check over in healthcare because that's where all the toothpaste is.
Yeah. Funny.
And toothpaste gets rid of film.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they might have the film cans with the tools to get
Right.
rid of the film.
Okay.
Right. Yep.
Oh boy.
It's funny. So what did we talk about?
By
So
the
we
way,
talked-
the boat.
Go ahead.
We're all bozos on this bus.
oh
When
yeah.
you said you might think of me as a clown,
Yeah. We all are. I'm
thanks, Mike Coaster.
I'm like the clowniest, apparently. I don't know, with all these crazy ideas I have.
Well, one of the other ones that you see a lot of in some areas, not so many in others, is the earth cache.
Yeah.
And that is actually really tough to hide.
It can be. It doesn't have to be.
Right.
Yes.
It depends on where you are, and yeah. But
Just don't think you're going to do a glacial erratic or a waterfall. Those are done.
well,
but
and there are some
or,
areas where it's much harder to get to the geology.
The
But
features, yeah.
yeah, you can typically find one. It's just going to take more work.
Right. And ask your local earth cache hiders for help.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to do
you
that.
have
I found this chunk of petrified wood out there. Help me write something about this.
Purified wood. That's a good one. It's good. I like that.
I don't know.
There are some areas where there's not a whole lot of earth caches because people haven't hidden them for whatever reason, and that's I think where it's almost harder to hide a earth cache because you might not have the experience.
I just have to share this, and then on a boat, it's all about you.
No.
I have an earth cache hide. Okay. I got a log a couple of years ago that it was a DNF log on my earth cache. They said, I'm on vacation. I don't want to do homework while I'm on vacation. I'm not finding this.
Did you mention that on the Earthcast show that
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
we did?
I've mentioned
Oh
it
my
several
gosh.
times. It's just one of those. Are
I
you
was
kidding
talking.
me?
Yeah, dude, I brought that up. I remember you saying that. And I couldn't actually remember who said it until you just said that again. And I said that to a buddy of mine a couple weeks ago, and because we were talking about a silly log I got on my Earth cache, and he was like, "Could you imagine DNFing an Earth cache?" And I said, "Funny if you would say that, but."
Well,
Yeah,
my problem is I have a bunch of these newer cachers that just log finds and walk away. They're not sending any questions, no photos, nothing.
Yeah.
And they ghost me when I ask them about it.
Hmm.
So I just want to know. Well, and a couple of them have actually replied, "Oh, I didn't know you actually had to do anything." So what, you expect to just walk up, see the view and walk away, and that's finding it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
You're not
I was
going to do
there.
well as a cacher.
I was there.
Yeah.
That's funny.
White Coaster saw an Earth Cache DNF log. It was too foggy.
Well, see, that's fair though.
That's fair.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've actually, now that I say that, I actually remember hearing a story one time of somebody DNFing an Earth cache because the water was actually too high in an instance where you couldn't see the rocks at the bottom of the stream or whatever they were talking about. But yeah, so.
Mm-hmm. So how tough do you get on Earth cache descriptions? I don't want to be the militant. If you don't, respond within 24 hours of logging this, I'll delete your file.
I mean, I've only hidden a couple, and mostly this past year. I kind of got into them for a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I'm not real strict about it. I'll go back and check every now and then. If the biggest thing to me is I love the fact that they added the thing back in where you can require a picture again.
Mm-hmm.
That's my absolute favorite thing, because for me, I can just scroll through logs and see if they've added a photo to their log and look at the photo. What is the photo? Make sure it's not just a picture from Google Earth or whatever, right? And if they logged a find, they don't have a picture in there, then I go to my messages and say, okay, well, did this person send me a message with a picture in the message? Because that happens sometimes too. But yeah, I just say it on there like, hey, I think literally on my caches it says logs not meeting the find requirements or whatever will be deleted. It doesn't say anything about time frame, but yeah, I just say, please do this. I try to be nice, but I don't know. You mentioned Earth caches being tricky, and I think the big thing with Earth caches is, Daryl, like you said, like you don't have a lot of geological features around you. Like maybe you live on a cornfield and next to another cornfield.
Well, or in a city where it's all been built on, and you don't have much natural earth to do a cache
you'd be
on.
surprised.
You
right?
would be very surprised.
Yeah, look at the construction of the building. There may be composite materials there that you can see.
Well, I thought that they block those now. You can't do find the fossils in the limestone.
Oh, interesting.
In some cases, yeah.
Is that a regional restriction?
No, it's just about how stupid you make it.
Oh,
so like if you,
we need you on more. I like this.
I think I haven't read the guidelines in probably a few months since I tried to hide my last one, because they do change quite frequently, like what kinds of Earth caches they're allowing and stuff. Like Chris, you mentioned their waterfalls, right? Like you mentioned waterfalls, like you can't just go out and say, how high is this waterfall?
Mm-hmm.
They don't allow those anymore. They don't allow like the river gauging stations like you see everywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other thing? Glacial erratics, I think you said.
Glacial erratics are gone.
But
fens, I think, are gone.
You can still do a glacial erratic. This is where I was getting to, like where it's kind of how dumb you want to make it. You can still do a glacial erratic if it specifically relates to the local geology of the area, I believe is the way they worded it. So your lesson has to basically say, like, why is this erratic special in terms of like how different it is from the local geology? Like this is some kind of sandstone thing, and we don't have sandstone for 600 miles around here, or something like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, they, for the most part, like waterfalls too, you can still do a waterfall, but your lesson can't be waterfall. Your lesson has to be erosion, or how the waterfall was formed, or some other geological process. So, that's the other thing that I was going to mention too about earth caches, is they're really, people overthink them. People always think that they need to find like the next Niagara Falls in the woods or something like that. It has to be some amazing geological feature, right? I think I said I have 6 earth caches, right? One's a dam at a state park. And the earth cache literally just talks about the outflow of the dam, and talks about how the dam changed the landscape downstream from where the dam is, in terms of erosion, floodplain, things like that. I've got another one that just talks about how a creek formed, and what kind of man-made stuff is there to prevent further erosion and things like that. Erosion is one of my favorite things to do earth caches on, because it makes landscapes look really cool when they're eroded very badly. You know what I mean? You get to see some really cool rocks that you wouldn't normally see because all the dirt's gone. So, but yeah, I mean, I have a park by my house, and I literally went to this park, and there's a big hill in the park, and there's this channel that's like forming in this hillside, and it's washing away part of the trail. And I just put together a quick little thing on erosion, and how that happened, and what's it going to look like in the future if we don't control it, and things like that, and how erosion impacts the world, I guess. So it doesn't have to be like, that's my point, is it doesn't have to be earth shattering. It could just be, that's funny. I said earth shattering.
Yes.
Is that why you're chuckling? Yeah, I saw you chuckle. I was like, I see what I know what I did there.
If it is earth shattering, well,
we don't have the fault. Yeah, we don't have the fault lines for the earth shattering.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could do an earth shattering earth cache, but
yeah, absolutely,
in California. So Scott, get on that. We need an earth shattering earth cache out of you. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, my biggest recommendations. I mean, earth caches are great because of the absence of maintenance in a lot of cases for earth caches. You don't have to continually go and check on this cache and stuff like that. Your maintenance is pretty much the cache page. If any issues arise because like something is missing, obviously, or the location's changed significantly. Faulty conversation. Yeah, that's good. It's almost as bad as earth shattering.
That's the sign that it's time to go, is when we can't stop with the bad jokes.
Yeah. I see. I'm surprised this is coming out of us. Usually Chris. Usually this is more of a Chris specialty here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But what's this one?
Limax says that there's a lot of earth caches in his area on earthquakes due to the major fault running through the area, and it's not the San Andreas.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, you just got to think about like what's cool in your area, right? Like my area is just a bunch of rocks, limestone, sandstone, erosion, dirt. That's Ohio, right? I guess there's glacial stuff, but yeah, I think somebody else mentioned it. Make sure you get permission from whoever it is, because they're going to ask you. All the GeoWares, they're going to ask you who you got permission from. Like it's a thing. So get permission before you even get started. It's actually not that hard to do. Just call the land manager and say, "Hi, I want to bring people here to look at this really cool feature. Is that okay with you?" "Yeah, it's for geocaching." "Okay. Are you hiding anything?" "No, I'm not. They're just going to come take pictures." "Okay." Super easy. It's not that difficult, but yeah, and then read the guidelines. Yeah. It's pretty much it. I can't talk tonight.
Well,
You're not gonna have me
we've
on
talked-
anymore because I can't.
We've
I can't
talked
talk.
plenty, I think. So why don't we wrap it up?
I'm done.
Yeah. Hey, it's getting late out here. It's 10 p.m. and after a full day of work. Yeah.
Oh my God, here we go with more puns.
Yeah. No, we're going to ignore. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Mount St. Helens was more earth moving.
You clicked on it.
Okay.
All right, but we'll wrap that up.
Guess is done.
this
Show's
point.
over. This is GSM
Oh.
time. On a
Is that how
boat.
it works? Is that how it
Thank
works? I just gotta tell you I'm done. So
Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
you're welcome, guys.
You know,
Thanks for having
you
me.
put a lot of thoughts into my head. I've adopted a couple of caches that, you know, I've thought of different things to do. A quick, simple multi-cache may be the way to go. There aren't many in the area. And yeah, in fact, I've already started doing that. And I realized that is a multi-cache and I wasn't planning it that way. So I'm going to do that. So thank you. You've inspired me.
Oh, thanks, buddy. That's what I came on to do. So I appreciate you guys having me as always. So great show. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. And check the Cache Maniacs website at cachemaniacs.com for more on the Geo Gearheads, including show notes for this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com or through social media. Your support helps keep the Cache Maniacs shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cache Maniacs shows. Geo Gearheads is produced by Chris Nuffenauer and Daryl Wanberg. This show is copyright 2021 by Daryl Wanberg. All rights reserved.
Cash with the Cash Maniacs.